right, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and fishing accomplices, good morning and welcome back to Fishin. So we are in mid-May right now, May 17th, 2025. And yeah, fortunately we're able to sneak out today. Been working all week. Last time I went fishing was the last saltwater video I posted, and fortunately it looks like the conditions are offering me the option to fish somewhere I haven't fished in quite some time, so we're going for it. I was a little worried because it looked like it was going to be fairly foggy out, and there is fog, but I've seen far worse, and right now we're pretty clear. It also looked like rain was potentially an issue as well, but it looks like it should be okay. So that being said, we're going for bottom fishing species, predominantly fluke, though other things could always show up. Yeah, we're fishing a different spot as I much wanted to. Need a change of scenery, and this is a spot I really enjoy fishing. So right now the tide is bottomed out. We got nothing, but we're gonna fish pretty much the entirety of the incoming once we get it. And usually this spot does do pretty well with that kind of condition. So similar to the last videos, particularly while that tide is low and slow, we're gonna fish smaller stuff. But once it starts moving, I'm gonna have to up my weight, and we'll fish probably more typical stuff, but we'll let the fish show us what they want. Ultimately, you know, I think we can get into some good action right now. Water temps I'm seeing around 66 on my fish finder, but it's probably a little lower than that, probably closer to 64 or something. But either way, we know there's fish around, and I am excited to fish this spot. So thank you for checking it out. Hopefully a good one for you. Stay tuned, because it is time to get some fishing accomplished. Okay, tide is probably just starting to move in, so I'm going to start light. We're going to go with this Elias mini Mackinaw shad. This is a 1/4 or maybe even 3/8 ounce. This isn't a 1/2 ounce, I know that. I'm going to try and work some ledges. If this is not working, I'm going to switch things up to something bigger. But again, we don't have much tide right now, so it's probably going to be pretty tough. But we're going to just try and see what we can do to make it happen until things do work. We got some Procurement Hayden on there to get some flavor, entice more of a bite. But hopefully that will be enough to make it happen. So let's try and get on some action quick. Okay, first drift. I don't even know if we have incoming tide yet. It might still be like the last moments of outgoing. But we have a slight southerly wind coming this way, so I don't expect much movement. Honestly, I think we might still have a little bit of outgoing movement, but we will adjust accordingly. We have like no real good drift. I'm going to cast with kind of my high-low jig. So it did not take long for that incoming tide to start happening. But despite that, you know, which usually is a very good tide for me in this particular area, it was slow this particular day. I did get some action, just not necessarily what I was hoping to get. And I did work a variety of different presentations. I started with the Mackinaw shad, and as the tide started moving, I switched over to gulp, both in terms of the grub, but also the paddle tail. And nothing really was making it happen the way I wanted to. Got a lot of bites, but a lot of non-committal hits, you know, grabbing it and then spitting it out more often than not. It's not doing anything. Escape. Okay, tide is moving, and it's getting a little bit too fast to easily hold with the mini Mac shad, so we're going to switch to a gulp paddle shad. I'm going to try first with the 3/8 ounce jig head, JYG. If that doesn't work, we're going to well, not so much if it doesn't work, but once this becomes too light, we're going to switch to a 1/2 ounce and just keep upping as the tide requires. But I have a feeling these fish will be less hesitant to hit a bigger presentation. Okay, gulp paddle shad. There it is. That's not a skate. It's not big, but it's a fluke. And there he goes, perfect. better than the last one, that's for sure. Right on the ledge. Not that big, but not bad. Sea robin? Not fighting like a fluke. It's a fluke. It's a sundial. It's a bigger sundial. Not big enough for me to want to keep it, but sundial. If it's a fluke, which it probably isn't. Probably another skate. Alright, we made a bit of a move. It was very slow where we were, so yeah, I don't have a lot of options right now because the weather looks like it's going to get nasty, so I want to not go very far. That's one of the reasons I stuck it out over there as long as I did. Let's work this area. This area has been productive to me as well in the past, though it has been more of an outgoing spot than an incoming spot, but got to work with what we got, I suppose. Didn't take too long. That's promising. It's not bad either. I don't know what that is. It's not a bad fluke. Not a great fluke though. Not much tide or action, so let's try the high-low and see how this goes. We're gonna cast up tide and work it back down tide. It works, that's for sure. Not the fish we want, but might be the fish we need to restore hope. It has been a tough day. Yeah, so this whole morning it's been pretty tough, and now we're at peak tide, so it's not looking promising, but this high-low jig did definitely revitalize the bite that had been very slow. And I'm just giving you a heads up that my GoPro battery unfortunately is about to die at the absolute worst time possible, but we'll pick up. Unfortunately, I'll have a nice fish on the other side of the line. Missed that hook set. Just changing the GoPro battery. Feels like a better fish, but not that good. Not a bad one though. Definitely best fish we've hooked into in quite some time today. Feels like it could be a keeper. Whoa, 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 whoa. Man, this is not a bad fish. Oh, that's a nice fish, yeah. keeper. That's a really nice keeper. Dang, son. Oh God. That was one of the worst net jobs I've ever had on a fish of this quality. That's a nice fish. Dang, son. Oh my God. That's a nice fish. That is a proper shower mat right there. Knew we were grinding out for something. Nice fish. Thing will go 23, I bet. Bust out the pliers for this one. All sorts of tackle. Take a gander with this. A little more official. Yeah, he's 23 and a half. Definitely a nice fish. Alright, well, we got very lucky with that fish, both with the net and also just the timing, but yeah, if I didn't get that fish and we kept doing what we're doing, I probably would have been calling it within the next 10 minutes, but we'll give a little more time. I mean, we got some tide still. Tide is pretty close to peak. It's like the last probably fifth of the tide moving. But yeah, we don't have a lot of movement, so again, this high-low jig, just casting it out and working it back with whatever tide we do have. And all right, let's see if we can make it happen again. Might be another nice fish. Definitely not a baby. Not a bad one. Close. Oh, he was, I don't really care. That fish wasn't that big, but it's a good sign. All right, well, we've got a bit of a pattern here, which is nice. And I figure we're probably in our last hour best case scenario fishing. Wasn't even sure if this could be even remotely close to a video, but since we got that keeper and we just had that nice fish, why not? Seltzer or beverage review of the day. And since we're in Brooklyn, why not drink a drink of Brooklyn? Brooklyn's best. Peach tea. I'm not quite sure what I'm in for. I have never tried this before. But let's see. I think it is like iced tea. Yeah, there's definitely sugar in this. It is not fizzy either. It is flat, so for those of you that are considering it. It is peach tea. It's not too sweet. Certainly taste the peach. It's pleasant, refreshing. Does it have caffeine? Can't say for certain, but it's nice. It's not too sweet. You definitely taste the peach, and I will give this a round 8. And the fishing so far has been tough, but it was really nice to get that larger fish, and we just dropped that okay size one. So let's see if we can finish this day proper, because it is not too late. even if we're losing the tide, it is peaked. There could be some really nice fish around, especially considering that one. So let's keep going. Let's finish strong. Got him that time. Yeah. That's probably where we're getting a lot of our bites from. But we know there's some good ones mixed in, so we'll keep pushing for a little bit longer. Little guy. No. Bye-bye. Another very small fluke. There's definitely a good amount of fish here, just a lot of them are very small and a lot of them are very picky. Like these fish, I feel like I'm getting bites like every cast, just very non-committal. And again, a lot of these fish are barely even big enough to take this hook. I think part of it too is that we're fishing, this water is cooler than where we have been fishing, so I think these fish are a little bit more lethargic, at least right now, especially considering the tide. The other thing I'll mention is a lot of these fish were gorging on small grass shrimp. Particularly when I was packing up, I noticed that a lot of the fish have been throwing them up as I've been catching them. And I didn't catch nearly as many fish as I did in the previous video I posted. And there was probably double or even triple the amount of grass shrimp that they left behind. So they're definitely gorging on that. And perhaps that's why they were a bit finicky, because they were just so accustomed to eating smaller baits. I don't know, but definitely something to consider if you're looking to try this fishing soon. Ooh, that's certainly better than what we've been getting. I don't think he's that big, but it's not tiny. Solid head shakes. Nah, it's like a 17, 18 incher. Say 17. Monster compared to some of these fish we're getting now. Little fish. Little better. Now it feels good. Jeez, where did that come from? At first I was like, this is a baby. That big. Certainly better than what we have been getting, but he's still probably like 18. That felt like a better fish. All right, yeah, that was a pretty tough one today. I'm a bit surprised, but honestly, now that I think about it, I'm really not. This spot can be very good for me, but I do find that it tends to heat up a little bit later in the season. As I'm sure you witnessed, there were definitely fish around, but kind of like what I've experienced in past seasons, and to a lesser extent even this season, the other spot I've been fishing, the fish are definitely on the finicky side. A lot of small fish, and a lot of them are just kind of like playing with it. They'll grab it, spit it, etc. And again, that's one reason I do like fishing that smaller profile, and when we can get away with it, I think we were a little more successful with it. But you know, we made it work. That high-low rig especially was a bit of a surprise, working as well as it did. I'm sure I could even get them right now, just I don't want to be out here all day, so we're gonna call it. But yeah, the high-low rig, when we had just a little bit of tide, casting up tide, working it back with the tide, worked pretty well in terms of action. I didn't get a ton of fish, but I think I did a lot better than I would have if I was just, you know, getting pushed around the wind and not having a proper drift. Had it been a little bit less windy, I could have potentially tried the same thing with the jerk shad, with the light jig head, but I think considering the wind, that was the way to go for today. So happy to not go home empty-handed, because it really looked like that was gonna be the case for a little while. But yeah, new spot next week probably. Thanks for watching as always. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye from Fishin'.